huddled here in a stairwell above Beaver Stadium.
Get out of the way, Bill. Let him
Saturday night, Sunday morning. Can you see? We're trying to suck it in. Suck it in, everybody.
Look at that.
It's kind of windy out there. They're blowing the pom-pom stuff around. You won't be able to hear us with the mic in the wind. So we're in the stairwell. Ohio State, a double overtime win over Penn State, 31-24. The Buckeyes stay on track for the things they still have in front of them. But we're trying to figure out how to view this win. The Buckeyes were up 17-0. They got a gift interception that set up a short field for their first touchdown. Their first field goal came after the time clock had expired and the refs missed it. And they barely escaped. Bill, are you viewing this as a great gritty win by the Buckeyes, or are you viewing this as a sort of a disappointment where they blew a 17-point lead and went to overtime?
I think you have to view it as a disappointment. I mean, Penn State is not a very good football team. They were 4-2 coming into this game with losses to Michigan, and we all know what Michigan has done this year. I was prepared during the game. The offense kind of looked off its game the entire night, and I was prepared up until about the end of the third quarter to say, well, okay, the offense didn't look so good, but at least the defense looks good, and the defense is going to win them a game. And then the defense let Christian Hackenberg throw a 40-yard, I think it was a 40-yard touchdown pass, and then Penn State marches down the field and kicks a game-tying field goal. So the one shot the defense has had this year to win a game, and they kind of blew it. And I think some of the defensive players admitted that after the game as well. And
then in overtime, Penn State got the ball and scored right awaway.
Exactly, yeah. So it's
the drive at the end.
And the 77
there were
drive at the
17 play, I think 17 play, 79-yard drive for them to come down and really they could have had a shot to win the game if James Franklin would have managed the clock a little bit better. So I don't know how you can. I guess you got to try to find a silver lining if you're Ohio State in this win, but I don't know how you do it when you blow a 17-point lead to a team that's been one of the worst in the conference this season in terms statistically anyway, and then you have to kind of claw back in the game to get a win.
Ari, though, when we talked to everybody afterward, Urban Meyer, Luke Fickell, some of the players, they certainly were taking it as a team win. Guys were saying like they really felt like this team came together. This was a building block. You battle through adversity. It gets you ready for another tough game. I guess they have to say that, right?
You know what this game did? I was on the fence on whether or not I was going to pick Ohio State in the Michigan State game, and I'm going Spartans now probably because that's what they showed me today. I thought that Ohio State was on a roll. I thought this was a team that was going to. I mean, look at the predictions. Everything I wrote this week, I thought they were going to score 60 points. I really did. Like I don't know if I bought into it too much, but I really thought that Ohio State was going to be playing a Rutgers-like team just on the road. So maybe not. I mean, the way I predicted it, I thought it was going to be a blowout. So I'm not very impressed at all with anything that I saw. I think that they got the win, and J.T. Barrett deserves some credit for having a poor game the entire day and then, making the plays in overtime to win the game. But I don't think this is something that you should be proud of.
This is one of those. I mean, they were almost a single-wing offense for much of the game. They did the Wildcat. They did direct snaps to Dontre Wilson and Jalen Marshall to try to get yardage. They ran zone read with Elliott and J.T. Barrett a lot. J.T. Barrett, in the end, just had to run for stuff. The 2 touchdowns in overtime were J.T. Barrett runs. They couldn't throw very effectively, it didn't seem. They didn't do a lot of the things that they have done when they've looked good, scoring 50 points a game, spreading the ball out, getting quick throws to playmakers. It didn't seem like much of that was happening.
Like, even on defense, it felt like there were so many plays they left out there on defense. Like, even the Reeves. Talk about Armani Reeves, just the ball hitting him in the face with the game on the line. There was a few other dropped picks. Chances for the defense to really make. I mean, I know offense is what we're talking about too. I mean, I see what you're saying, but on both sides of the ball, I thought they left a lot of plays out there.
And it felt like when they were up 17-0, they were a drive away from putting it away. 17-0 is not a huge lead. If they would have gotten one more touchdown, you make it 24-0, and then they come out and J.T. Barrett throws a pick right away at the beginning of the second half, and it completely changes the game. Right when you thought, okay, they're going to make this go away now.
Yeah, I thought even with as poorly as Ohio State was playing, it seemed to me that there was no way that Penn State was going to be able to move the ball in any sort of efficient manner to get back into this game. And then J.T. Barrett makes the mistake in the first drive of the second half and throws a pick 6, and all of a sudden Penn State is down 17-7 and they're back in it. At least they feel like they're back in it, and that's a huge momentum swing.
What I would have really liked to see more than anything, and no one's going to talk about this, but this is what stood out to me. I'm obsessed with the 3 drives, the 3 chances Ohio State had at the end of the Virginia Tech game to tie it. and after they came back and they erased a 14-point deficit, they weren't able to get a first down. And there's a drive after all the things that we just got done talking about. We didn't think at all that Penn State had anything or had what it took to tie this game, let alone potentially win it. But Ohio State got the ball at the 49-yard line with 5 minutes left in the game, up by 7. Right? Were they up 7? Or they were up 3, or they were up something, and they could have taken the game, could have driven down the field, scored a touchdown, ended it. That's it. They couldn't get a first down. And it kind of reminded me of late of that Virginia Tech game where the pressure's on, you're in a very tough environment, you've got everything going on, and can't even move the ball 10 yards in a very, there's a lot of questions, I think, that we found in this game.
The hard thing is, now, they won. It's crazy here. It's crazy here. The press box shakes. It's crazy here. It's awesome. In the end, this was a really exciting, really cool college football game. This is like what it's all about. And the Buckeyes did find a way to win. But the thing I think is hard for us is, in overtime, what they did to win is the things that you thought they were going to do to put the game away so they wouldn't have to get to overtime. Because they didn't, they just ran JT Barrett and scored because they're better athletically. They have better players. They didn't come up and suddenly, throw the ball around and make great play. They just, okay, we can just have a quarterback and run and win. That's good enough.
It just seems to me that the way they approached offense was the way that they would have approached it a month ago. I thought that they had progressed and it was going to look differently. I didn't think JT right and JT left was the way they were going to win a football game.
And it looked like 2012 when it was Braxton right and Braxton left. So now, again, you do what you have to do to win. And I think the thing we need to communicate to people is this is a high bar. This is a high bar. We are looking at this team in the context of the college football playoff. We're looking at this team in the context of winning the Big Ten and getting ready to beat Michigan State. So, it's when it's a high bar, it's great for the players and Urban Meyer, everybody to be excited about finding a way to win. But clearly, and it's what I wrote right after the game, this will not cut it at Michigan State in 2 weeks.
No, I think Michigan State, particularly on defense, is a much stronger defensive team than even Penn State is, and look what Penn State did today against Ohio State's offense in a hostile road environment. So, things need to change before that game on November 8th.
And meanwhile, Michigan State started a little bit slowly against Michigan today, and then in the end, put them away and won convincingly. So the Buckeyes escape. They remain on track. They have Illinois next week. Illinois beat Minnesota today. I'm not sure that I'm particularly enthused about Illinois, even with that win. They are on target for this to be a big game, Ohio State at Michigan State, but they also are on target to have to fix some things to compete. For Bill Landis and Ari Wasserman, I'm Doug Lesmerises here at Beaver Stadium, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Thanks for following along. We'll have coverage all day Sunday and, of course, getting ready next week for the Buckeyes hosting Illinois at 8 p.m. next Saturday. Thanks for following along here at cleveland.com.